What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another ARC News video. Today, we have very exciting news regarding the upcoming Valguero creature vote and Astraeos news from the creator Negatus himself. Without further ado, let's get into it. First, starting out with the Astraeos news to get it out of the way. Crunch starts out with a thank you from Negatus, the creator of Astraeos, thanking everybody for all the feedback, and he listened to the community and added some major content to the map in response to our feedback and reports. While there are many small bug updates on the way, including one sometime next week, the next big content update coming rather soon will include the following. Update 1. Large snowy/cold and Mediterranean/warm biomes. More caves of various sizes for building. I hear you PvP players. More in-theme POIs like temples and ruins. Blue obelisk. More DLC dinos and appropriate biomes for them. Gotchas and snow owls, etc. And mini bosses for farming loot and BPs. All of these sound like very exciting changes, and it sounds like Nectus' goal is to make Astraeos one of the greatest maps in the entire game. Personally, I'm very excited to see how the map turns out, and I definitely think it'll be worth the $15 price tag once it's complete. Let me know your thoughts about the update and the strays down below. Now, onto the big reason why most of you clicked on today's video, the Valguero creature vote. After a long month of voting, seriously, the voting submissions did not need to be that long, in my opinion. We're down to the top 10 finalists. But how long do we have to vote? And how does the voting work? Well, voting ends on Friday, February 28th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, with the winner being announced during that Friday's community crunch. The way the vote works is that you rank the dinos in the order that you would like to see them added into the game, meaning the creatures you prefer go at the top, and the ones you're indifferent towards or don't care about go towards the bottom. You are also only limited to one vote per person. This is not my vote list, by the way. This is just the sample list on the community crunch. Now that we got the rules out of the way, we're the top 10 finalists. Now, I'll be doing a quick overview about each of them, but if you would like a more in-depth look, I would highly suggest looking at their submission page, which will be linked down below. First up, we have the living tree, the giant stick bug. This giant insect can use its mimicry ability to cleverly disguise itself as a tree, most likely a redwood tree, similar to how golems disguise themselves as large boulders. It can also collect and transport beehives from tamed queen bees, making it an excellent source of honey transport. If the stick bug gets attacked while carrying the hives, the bees will swarm and defend the stick bug, similar to the new blade wasp hive turret. The stick bug can also be used as a living canoe, being ignored by all aquatic creatures apart from the lead Zichthys, since, they have vendetta against rafts and all that. If you thought the honey transport was good, this thing can also passively produce two new resources, woody chitin, I'm not sure if it acts as wood or chitin, or both most likely, and hemoglyph, an organic version of sap, like how Acatina produced Acatina paste as a cementing paste alternative. And lastly, it has a tree of life ability, in which it can house up to 6 Archaeopteryx that roost in it, helping to produce hemoglyph faster and also giving the tree of life buff, which heals any nearby insects and increases crop yield. That's a whole lot of very useful abilities wrapped into one creature. The giant stick bug has a lot of non-combat abilities, unlike this next creature which focuses primarily on its combat abilities. Your worst nightmare? The MEGARAPTOR. This ambush predator loves hunting at night and pouncing on unsuspecting prey with his jump scare lunge ability. If you are unfortunate enough to survive the initial attack, your troubles are far from over, as survivors of the jump scare lunge will suffer from Tyrannus-like fear buff known as shock. This hallucination effect that haunts the target screen with ghostly visions of claws, teeth, and demonic eyes for up to 10 minutes works on all dinos, except for titanosaurs and bosses, so nobody is safe from this night feeder. This very nimble creature also has omnidirectional movement and can even dodge attacks from enemy dinos. Its darkness buff acts as a UD Furor on steroids, inflicting shock on those who hear it, not only at night or in the Ark's deep caverns. And if that wasn't enough, when fighting a large target, the MEGARAPTOR heals for every hit it deals. If it kills enough dinos, it will go into overkill mode, where similar to the Giga, it will try and kill whatever is closest to it. While this Night Feeder sounds near unstoppable, it has two main ways to subdue it. A new weapon forged from the claws of a fallen MEGARAPTOR, which can be used to duel against it, or its main fear of fire. Fire is this demon's big weakness, so be sure to keep your flamethrowers handy. Speaking of the elements, this next creature harnesses electricity to perform shockingly powerful attacks. The thundering herbivore commander, the XENOCERATOPS Thunderous. This powerful herbivore has the unique ability to fill up a charge meter that, once filled, allows it to use its electrifying attack. Their charge meter has 3 tiers that change the bar's appearance every tier they are charged. In order to charge up this bar, you can sprint at full speed or tank from the front with its massive frill. By far the fastest way to fill this meter is to successfully parry an attacker. That's right, this dino adds a new unique fighting mechanic by being the first base game dino that's able to fully parry other dinos. At max charge, you have a few powerful abilities to choose from. A lightning slam AoE attack that knocks back, grounds, and Nidaria stuns any creature unfortunate to get caught in its AoE. A defensive roar, which gives a passive defense buff and immunity to all status effects, with herbivores gaining a greater bonus to these buffs. And lastly, a powerful plasma ball that can be shot with explosive force that will explode and stun anything caught in the crossfire. This powerful herbivore has a few anti-flyer attacks, but this next creature is a living flyer counter, the bio sniper TANYSTROPHEUS. This living sniper has a fondness for taking out the Ark's flyers. Its saddle, once tamed, comes with a built-in sniper. Using its powerful spit, this elongated lizard can shoot one of 4 different ammo types at its unsuspecting target. The normal spit, which slows down creatures and players, but also grounds flyers. The biotoxin mode, which deals poison and longer slowing effect. The Titan mode, which does an armor-piercing spit that ignores armor and deals full damage to creatures and players. And finally, the Ammonite bio mode, which is a tracking spit that marks targets that can be tracked by the TANYSTROPHEUS. It also comes equipped with wall climbing, an auto fishing mode, and a long-range turret mode. This anti-flyer seems to have a great matchup against flyers, but it might struggle against our next apex tier flyer, the Winter King, the CRYODRAKON Chioni. This frosty flyer comes equipped with some dangerous eye powers. While not only having an icy peck and devastating frostbite attack, it can create blizzards at will. This colossal flyer takes to the sky and while flying in tight circular loops in the designated area, will summon a swirling blizzard, slowing any creature or survivor caught in its path by 50% and eventually freeze them. Similar to the Fenrir, it can also coat itself in ice by activating its Frozen Feathers ability, increasing its armor and dealing thorns damage back to any attackers that hit it. If those attacks weren't enough, it can also insulate the rider while acting as a mobile fridge. Its preferred food, spicy fish cakes, can also be used as a carnivore version of a veggie cake, healing them greatly in a fight. While mighty, this Ice Titan of the Skies would have a challenge for King of the Skies by this next flying apex. The stalking as Dartshid, the AEROTITAN. This flying behemoth can use its massive wings to knock back creatures far away with wind, similar to the Tropios Nephis. But its mighty wing flap can also deflect projectiles. AEROTITAN can increase the strength of this wind flap by gliding down into a wind flap. It can also pick up creatures up to the size of a woolly rhino and slam them into the ground while diving. Using its massive wings on takeoff, it can blind creatures below it with mist and gain a speed boost while taking to the skies. If the rider chooses, they can then slam back into the ground with tremendous force, severely damaging any unfortunate creatures below. While in a fight, it can create air hoops, which speed boost any flyers that fly through them. If in a pinch, or if you need to scare off dinos trying to eat a creature you're taming, it will spread its massive wings and inflict a bad omen on the creature or player that gets too close. The bad omen shortens the viewing distance immensely and de-aggroes any creature. It can also be toggled to guard an unconscious taming creature. Bad Omen can also be used to track targets, and if you track 4 of the same species, it will give you access to track any member of that species with an estimated level range and area of creatures on the map. Not an exact location, though. In this battle of air versus land, our next creature would give our terrifying friend a hard time. Intercontinental Ballistic Gourmand DESMATOSUCHUS Gormendi. This stego-sized herbivore has access to 3 different kinds of saddles. A regular basic saddle, an anti-flyer missile saddle that can send a barrage ranging from 1 to 10 missiles at a target, and a railgun saddle that deals massive damage with 2 separate modes. The missile saddle when shot at a regular dino does less damage than the rocket. When fired at a flyer, it will act as a homing rocket, following the target and dealing bonus damage. The tech railgun saddle's 2 modes are the ghost mode, which does less damage, but ignores structures when fired, and the charge mode, which can be charged up to deal immense damage going through armor. The DESMATOSUCHUS, while being a powerful PvP tool, also has use in PvE, by being able to create what are known as dirt mounds, which allow you to plant crops straight into the ground. It also has a passive buff, which makes wild creatures get hungry faster and gain more taming effectiveness for less preferred foods. One big weakness this versatile herbivore has is a big weakness to explosions. Speaking of large tanky herbivores though, this next creature may be the game's ultimate herbivore tank, the impenetrable bulwark PENTACERATOPS Imperialist. This massive ceratopsian gains a defense boost while in a group of 3 or more, making this tank even tankier. Pentaceratops has a total of 4 stances: neutral, bulwark, battering ram, and marching wall. Neutral stance is just a basic regular stance. In bulwark stance, Pentaceratops lowers its head and uses its massive frill as a wall to protect the rider and any tames behind it from damage. While in this stance, Pentaceratops cannot move, and damage to the head heals it, while also charging up its battering ram meter. Other Pentaceratops may lock up with it to increase the size of the frill wall. The marching wall stance is similar to the bulwark stance, but does not heal the Penta and allows it to strafe and turn it place, while also charging up its battering ram meter. Once the battering ram meter is charged, the Pentaceratops charges forward with an attack increase and increased damage to structures. It also has access to a taunt similar to the Magmasaur, head sweep, and stomp attacks of light and heavy varieties. Now taking a break from the large tanky creatures, let's get into some of our smaller creature vote finalists. The Blitzing Trickster, ACINONYX. This speedy cheetah brings with it a new debuff known as Vertigo, which makes the target slowed and unable to walk straight, causing them to wobble left and right while walking. A target that is under the effect of Vertigo will take 3 times more torpor. In order to afflict this debuff, this nimble cat will rush around filling up its blitz bar. Once the bar is filled, its next ability becomes Amplified, which deals a striking blow that deals vertigo. It can also apply vertigo by drifting after running at high speeds in order to blind enemies and deal vertigo to them. This speedster can also use its speed to dodge attacks and counterattack, while also being able to wall jump. Its saddle also has 4 separate attachments: a trank turret that automatically fires arrows at targets with vertigo, a lasso launcher that can lasso smaller targets or dismount players and drag them around, battery backpack that charges up batteries using its lightning fast sprint speed, and a parachute backpack that allows it to deploy parachutes. One final creature left. Last but certainly not least, we have the assassin shoulder pet and mutation booster, the COELOPHYSIS. This sneaky assassin is stacked full of abilities, so let's get into them. Using the ASA pathfinding, it can find its way through bases to get to a target, bypass turret alarms and creatures. It has a special saddle that allows players to remote control them, can trick players ignoring their armor, can be controlled with a whistle to perform combo attacks, boost mutation rates of specific stats, grant unique glowing colors to dinos mutated by it, gives you immunity to torpor radiation and other effects, protective scarf against toxins and other environmental hazards, and finally gives a burst of health to players on low health. COELOPHYSIS has a lot of abilities packed into a small, dangerous package, and that is all of the 10 Creature Vote finalists. Which one are you hoping to win? With all these amazing options, it can be hard to choose, but I hope this video helped you with your decisions at least a little bit. Be sure to check out their submission pages linked down below if you have any further questions. Thank you all for watching. This has been Almighty Foil, signing off.